Osio, everybody. Out here today. Sad day. I'm gonna have to almost completely take out this poor old fig tree. It's been a beautiful, I guess, centerpiece on my property since we moved here in 2016. Not sure how old it is, but I think at least the 70s or 80s. She got a pretty big base down there, and I know a resilient root system. She's always done good, but this crazy freeze we had last year damaged her to the point that she's been overrun by ambrosia beetles and is dying, and I need to cut out all of the infected area and get all of that taken and hauled off to the burn pile and burnt before the beetles hatch out and repopulate and start getting into my pecan trees or any of my other fruit trees out here. So I just figured I'd bring y'all along on the journey. So here we go. You can see right in there, that's all of the beetle trails coming out where they're burrowing in and killing the tree. And it's from this right here that frost did a number on her, killed the limbs up top. And I mean, we're still getting some growth, and some of the pieces like this, there's no bugs in. I'm going to try and prune out and save cuttings from and try to make some more. But what we're going to wind up having to do is I'm going to take her out at the base level, except for this piece right here. This right here is going to be my new tree starter. She's very healthy, looks good. Don't really see anything wrong with her all the way up. So this will be our new fig tree. This one right here. I may be able to keep this little piece right here, but the beetles are all the way down here, so I don't know. We're going to try out the chainsaw and see what we get out of her. You can tell I've done some heavy pruning on her before because of ants. But these beetles just finished her off. The woodpeckers have found them and have been working their way up, tearing into her and just wreaking havoc. So I think I'm going to cut it down, harvest as many of the leaves off as I can for some fig tea, bag all that up, get as many cuttings off of her as I can to try and start some more trees. So like these little guys right here, they look good and healthy. So I should be able to snip her off, take all this green off, and try to root it. I'm not sure about this one, but we'll try and evaluate best we can and see what we get. But only about a third of the tree is still alive up top. Down low, there's still a lot of life left in her. But I'm going to try and at least take her off here and here with the chainsaw, and then we'll see what it looks like down there and see if I see any animal trails. If I do, then I'll go ahead and try to get her closer to the ground, and then we'll let her start over fresh. Like I said, this beautiful piece right here will be our new tree, and hopefully I may go ahead and pick the figs off. I'm not sure that are going to come up on her. I may let her go ahead and do her thing because there's so much root structure. She should have enough nutrients to do well. But like I said, you can see here, all of this is just dead. Just everything died out. And we get a little bit of life in here, but even here it's so much dead up in there that it's just not what we want. So to save the tree, I'm going to have to chop her down. Breaks my heart, but she'll come back stronger and better than ever, I'm sure. But I want to take you around here and show you my chainsaw. Talk about that for a minute, and then we'll be back over here to get to work on this. Poor old girl. Yeah, on my way to the chainsaw, I just wanted to show you this. It kind of leads me to another topic that I wanted to talk about a little bit, something that people don't really think about, and a lot of these YouTubers don't really show. There are a few that do, but a lot of them don't show that one of the aspects of farming, homesteading, just being more self-sustaining and reliable, you rely a lot on bartering and a lot on throwaways. And that's one of the ways that you survive and get going and really are able to pick yourself up and succeed, where others, you know, spend lots of money and you would have to work, you know, a full-time job on top of doing all the farm work and things to be able to afford all the nice toys and equipment and tools that people have. Some of us just can't do that, and you know, we barter and we trade and we get people's, you know, tossaways and things that they don't want, and we make it work. For instance, the other day, a friend of mine was throwing out a riding mower that he had just given up on, had all kinds of problems with it, and honestly a bicycle, and I'll get to that in a second. And so I got this from him, cleaned out the gas tank, tuned up the engine, new fuel system, carburetor, which was little or no money, and a new drive belt to drive it. Got tires to hold air again, and actually mowed about 2 acres with it this last week. The only problem I'm having now is I need to straighten the steering wheel, and the key switch doesn't turn it off, so I've got to take the key switch and get it rewired so that it shuts it off when I want it to. But 42-inch riding mower, not perfect, but it runs okay. I've got a couple push mowers here from last year that were gifts that I need to get running. Both of these just need cleaned out and carburetors added to them. That's an electric, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like using an extension cord if I can help it. And then over here, come over here to the patio. That's where my chainsaw is. Those were the things I just showed you there, and this bicycle right here were both things that were just going to be taken to a scrap pile and taken off for recycling. And this is a Aggressor Pro GT or something like that, mountain bike. And those of y'all that have been following the channel know that I had a heart attack and triple bypass, and I need to exercise. And Creator gifted me with this. Needed that one pumped up, that one needed a new inner tube, the chain needed lubed and cleaned up, and I needed to put new handles on it, and it works perfect. Still little problems with it, like you can't really read what gears you're in because these little pieces of plastic are wore out. But you know, I'm in my mid-40s, not much of a bike rider, but I remember how. It's like riding a bike. So I'm going to start using it to ride up and down the property. I still remember how. This is the nicest bicycle I've ever owned, and it was, you know, somebody else's trash. So again, don't knock it. You know, there's a TikTok video going around talking about, you know, there's nothing wrong with being poor. Some people just, you know, are not good at being poor. You have to be able to learn how to fix stuff. And it's a really awesome video. There's some swearing in it, so if you're not into curse words, then you may not like it, but it really gets the point across that there's nothing wrong with being poor. You just got to learn how to fix stuff and doing poor things. Being able to work with what you got. And for instance, this little chainsaw I got right here. It's John Deere, which is basically built by Husqvarna and, you know, licensed to John Deere. I looked it all up. I had an old ride mower that's set back there that quit working on me sometime last year, which it hadn't mowed in years, but we used it to pull the sweeper around and collect the straw and grass and stuff from the field. And I didn't want to fix it. It didn't want to crank. I was tired of fooling with it. I had paid $300 for it and a truckload of other lawnmower stuff back in 2009. And it was time to move on from it. Posted it for $150 on Craigslist, or trade for a working tiller or chainsaw. And this gentleman here fixes, you know, small engines. He didn't need the chainsaw, but he wanted to fix the ride mower and try to sell it. So we worked out a trade, and I got this John Deere chainsaw, which I've needed a chainsaw desperately. I've been having to borrow from a friend of the channel, Mike's, and now I don't have to borrow anymore. This one's about the same size as his. Starts up real easy, and we're gonna find out how good it cuts. And I mean, if it doesn't cut good, then I just need to put a blade on it or sharpen the one that's there. So I'm not real good at sharpening blades, but we'll find out. But just wanted to talk about that for a minute, that's part of homesteading and farming. Part of what I call the community is, you know, if I got something you need and I don't need it, let's work out a trade. You know, that's always something, you know, I call it getting out of the system of greed and just, you know, working with our needs and what we've got on hand. Makes things a lot easier sometimes. And sometimes it's harder because, you know, you don't have the cash to work with stuff, but the less we have to deal with cash, the happier I am. But enough of me rambling today. Let me go out there and get this chainsaw cranked up and take this tree out. Well, as frustrating as it can be sometimes, trying to talk about, you know, bartering and trading. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. Don't know what's going on, but that chainsaw worked for about 2/3 of the cut I needed, and then just sounded like she ran out of gas. So I'm thinking a piece of trash or something must have gotten the carburetor. But she was running too good to be anything really wrong with the saw. So I'm gonna have to take her down and work on her. Not a mechanic, but again, if you're gonna barter and trade, that's something you've got to start figuring out how to fix stuff. But there's more than one way to skin a cat, so I'm gonna get back out here, and I've got about 1/3 of a cut left to make, and the main cutting will be done, and then I'm gonna be doing everything else by hand. Like I said, we'll get her knocked out. Here we go. Now that that's cut down, I'm moving all my tools and everything over, and I'm just going to drag the 2 halves up underneath the shade tree so I can get out of the sun, so I can go ahead and start work on getting what I need off of them to try and do some cuttings and some harvesting of the leaves before I haul them off to be burnt. But yeah, I'm just trying to get out of the heat. Anything you can do to make the job a little cooler and easier is always a good idea. Ain't no point in being out in the sun if you ain't gotta be. You can see right here I'm doing what I was talking about. I'm going ahead and cutting some of the better looking branches, and I'm going to use them for cuttings, and I'm harvesting some of the cleaner, nicer leaves for some fig tea. And I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description for a video I made last year about that. It's actually really good tea, and you want to make it even better, mix them with some chamomile. That's just delicious. Love my fig tea. But I'm not going to harvest every last thing off of it just because I had a bunch of other stuff I had to get done. But I'm going to go ahead and collect a good bit of cuttings, try to preserve the genetics of the tree, and then get a bag full of the leaves that I'll go ahead and put in the dehydrator today and get them all nice and dried out and then save them to make my teas with. As I'm not a big tea guy, but I do love green tea and fig tea. And like I said, add a little chamomile to it, always puts a nice touch on it. You guys can see the death and destruction on this poor tree. But I harvested a bunch of leaves to make me some tea. And I've got a bunch of cuttings, even if I only get a few of them to survive. That'll be a positive. Not that I have to have them, because I'm confident that she'll grow back right there. But it was worth a shot. Why not? Alright. Take this over there, a bit off, and then go get the tractor, drag this to the fire pile, and start a fire. Here's a look at what we got left. Like I said, we got this little 4-foot tree coming up. Left that one clump there because my chainsaw died, but this side you can see where the insects, the ants I believe, were working up in here and right here. But this side over here is what I need to learn to deal with. They're actually coming out of the core right here. I think down here, right in here, they're working as well. So I'm wondering if cutting it lower is going to do anything, or do I need to get some poison on that? So I have to reach out to the community and see what everybody can tell me about that. See if we can save this old tree. Like I said, hopefully she'll take off now that the tree's not dealing with any of that damage. Quick follow-up. Chainsaw had flooded out. Back to running fine. All I did was let it sit for a little while. Now I need to run this hunk down there to the fire, and I'll be done with this. I think that's what we're going to leave for right now. Just see what comes of her. And there she goes. Hopefully got everything taken care of. I don't see any more ants on the inside of the tree, but that core still don't look healthy. So we'll see what we can do. I'm gonna reach out to some people and see what I can do to get rid of these ants right here. But yeah, we always keep a good burn pile to burn some of our waste scraps and things. And I've got to get these trees put in here because you don't want those ambrosia beetles to hatch out and spread to any of your other trees. So we've got to go ahead and eliminate them as soon as possible. Just some cardboard boxes, you know, shipping scraps and stuff. And we don't have a wood chipper, so I can't be mulching or chipping up these trees. So we just go ahead and burn them off. You know, can use a little bit of the ash, but for the most part, we just, you know, burn it right here in place and just try to keep the property clean. And before anybody wonders, I'm using the gas out of that old lawnmower. Before I fixed it, I had to drain all the gas out of it. It was full of trash, and you know, from last year. So needed to be drained out and putting it to use, because it'll still light this fire right here and get everything burned. But just wanted to make sure y'all was aware, not trying to, you know, waste any fuel or, you know, pollute or cause any problems out here. Just trying to keep everything clean and disinfect these bugs. I'm gonna go ahead and move the golf cart over, getting in a spot in the shade so I can watch the fire burn. And waiting for my buddy Abby to get over here. She takes her time, and once she gets over here, I think I'm going to go ahead and finish off the video. Yep, Wado for watching.